And it's time now for Morning Rounds with CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Jon LaPook, Dr. Jon LaPook, who got the memo about checked shirts this morning. Good for you, John. And CBS News contributor Dr. Holly Phillips. First up this week, a new imaginary meal may lead the way for a new generation of diet pills. Scientists at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in California developed a weight loss pill that tricks the body into thinking it's eaten a satisfying meal. Holly, how does this new drug differ from all the other ones out there?
You know what, Anthony, it's really a novel concept in weight loss drugs. Basically, the drug mimics, they call it an imaginary meal, because it mimics signals the body releases naturally at the start of a meal. And those signals help to lower our blood sugar, help to burn fat, and help to increase our metabolism. Only the drug does it without, you actually having to eat a meal. So you take in no calories, and hence you lose weight. But one of the most exciting aspects of this drug is that it doesn't enter the bloodstream. It stays confined to the intestines, so you don't get the side effects we associate with diet drugs. You know, things like high blood pressure or pressure in the lungs, dizziness, headache, and nervousness. Those things don't happen because it's really not affecting our bloodstream.
So is it on the market yet, Holly?
No, in fact, it's just beginning human trials. It's going to be a while before we actually see it on the market. But the researchers really hope that it can one day be an alternative to both gastric bypass and gastric banding. We know those are effective weight loss solutions, and they are overall safe, but if there's a non-surgical alternative, that's always a good thing.
Well, from pills to diets, John, U.S. News and World Report just ranked the best diet plans for 2015, and its experts rated Weight Watchers #1 when it comes to shedding pounds. But John, on this list, I also noticed that the DASH diet was best overall. What does that diet include?
Well, the DASH diet is the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and that's something which is rich in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, low fat, has nuts, beans, and seeds. So the idea there is to try to do things that will control blood pressure, but they're also good for other things. This Weight Watchers diet that you talked about, some of my patients talk to me about that, and they like it because it gives them freedom. It's easy to follow because it doesn't prohibit food, so they can go out with their friends. They can have whatever they want. Of course, there's this point system, so you can have all the fruit and vegetables that you want. If you want to have things like higher in fat, higher in sugar, it's going to cost you. It costs you some points, and they encourage you to do exercise. And then there's a whole social support thing where you can have seminars, you can have pamphlets. But remember, this report is interesting. It's kind of fun. You can click on things, the different kinds of diets. It's not just these two. The best heart healthy is Ornish, the best plant-based is Mediterranean, and you can click on all the different things. Saying, what's the paleo diet? Click on that.
Oh, interesting. New research shows an avocado a day may keep LDL or bad cholesterol at bay. Holly, tell us about this new study.
You know what, I feel almost too biased to report objectively on this because I eat avocado every morning for breakfast. But basically, they took a group of, the researchers took a group of overweight and obese people and put them on 3 cholesterol-lowering diets. One was low fat, one was moderate fat without an avocado, and one was moderate fat with an avocado a day. Ultimately, they found that the group who had a moderate fat diet with an avocado a day lowered their LDL more than the other 2 groups. And we also saw good results with their total cholesterol and a lowering of their triglycerides. So even though the avocados are high in calories and fat, it's the good fat. It's the monounsaturated fat, which is ultimately good for our cholesterol.
I always hear avocado gives you good skin, so now I know the secret.
There you go. See, there it is. A fringe benefit.
Well, one of the most dangerous problems in medicine is the emergence of antibiotic-resistant bacteria called superbugs. Now we're hearing about a promising new antibiotic. John?
Vanita, each year in the United States, at least 2 million people become infected with bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. At least 23,000 die as a result directly of those infections. And that makes development of new antibiotics critical. This week, researchers reported they found one in, of all places, the soil.
This is going to be a good one.
Today's research offers a 1-2 punch in the search for new antibiotics, a different way of finding them, and the discovery of one, Texobactin, that makes antibiotic resistance unlikely. Kim Lewis led a team of scientists at Northeastern University.
My guess is that if resistance is going to develop against Texobactin, it will take more than 30 years for that to occur.
Most antibiotics are produced by bacteria found in the soil, but only about 1% of these organisms can be grown in the laboratory.
We did something very different. Instead of trying to figure out what to put in a petri dish, We simply grow them in their natural environment.
So they placed the bacteria directly in the soil, isolating 50,000 different specimens, which made 25 new antibiotics. One, Teixobactin, effectively killed certain drug-resistant bacteria, including MRSA, C. difficile, and tuberculosis. So far, the research is only in mice. The kinds of mutations that usually cause bacteria to become antibiotic resistant don't seem to affect how Teixobactin works. Lewis says this may lead to a whole new approach.
The standard dogma under which we were operating, that bacteria will always and rapidly develop resistance, that dogma may be incorrect.
So what is the significance of this?
This is really elegant research. It's sound science. And you heard in the piece, we're leaving 99% of the bacteria that potentially could be producing antibiotics and helping us in the soil because we can't grow them in the laboratory. What did we do? They took the bacteria, put them back in the soil. They tricked them into thinking they're home.
Yeah.
And then they grew up and then they could make antibiotics from it. That is just really cool.
But how long till it's available commercially then?
You know, they say that in about 2 years they'll start clinical trials with people, and even if everything goes right, it's going to be 5 to 6 years before it would be, say, FDA approved. But I'm hopeful about this one.
There's surprising news about the most common victims of alcohol poisoning. A new report from the Centers for Disease Control found more than 2,200 Americans die of it every year. That's 6 alcohol poisoning deaths a day. 3/4 of those are adults ages 35 to 64, and most are men, which really surprised me, Holly.
You know, it was surprising. And in fact, the researchers at the CDC who uncovered it said they were surprised. You know, we often think of alcohol poisoning as something that affects younger people, right? We think of fraternity hazing or high school kids who are home alone for a weekend. But this showed that there was a whole new demographic that's really affected. Another striking aspect of this was that, you know, these are people who function normally during the week and binge on the weekends. So it's really a wake-up call for all of us that we could be at risk.
That's what this segment is about, right? Wake-up calls.
Wake-up calls.
Dr. Jon LaPook, Dr. Holly Phillips, thank you both so much.